It's been a while since that night, but it's a memory that I can't forget. I wanted to share the story on Reddit. My older brother, Alex, and I decided to throw a Halloween party for our high school friends. We wanted it to be a night we'd always remember. We spent weeks getting everything ready. A small house turned into a spooky, cobweb covered place. We carved pumpkins to look like they were smiling in a scary way. We hung fake spider webs in every corner, and we set up a high table full of spooky snacks and drinks. We were so excited, and when the sun went down on Halloween night, a party began. Our friends came dressed in all sorts of costumes, from classic monsters to famous characters. The atmosphere was buzzing with excitement, and the house was full of laughter and chatting. It was just a mix of spooky and fun we wanted. But what happened with one of our friends, Jeremy, that night was really weird. He was known for being interested in scary and mysterious things. He wore dark clothes and often talked about ghosts, strange stuff, and things from another world. But that night, Jeremy acted real strange. He stayed away from everyone else, almost like he didn't want to talk to anyone. When he did talk, he used weird, confusing words that made us all feel a little uneasy. My brother Alex and I shared worried looks as we noticed his strange behavior. Later that night, in the dimly lit living room with spooky music playing, Jeremy suggested we try something called a seance. He said it was a fun way to talk to spirits from other side. Some of our friends were hesitant, but others were curious, so they agreed to give it a try. I felt a little worried as we saw it in a circle, touching a board with letters and numbers on it. The room got real tense, and I felt like we were crossing into something we shouldn't. Jeremy started saying strange words and making spooky movements. It was like we were in a scary movie. The light flickered and went out, leaving us in complete darkness. It was so sudden that we all gasped. Then, out of nowhere, a deep, spooky voice filled the room. It felt like the walls themselves were whispering strange things. The messages were confusing, and it made everyone panic. We had no idea what was happening. My brother Alex and I knew things had gone too far. We tried to stop the seance and told everyone to leave. But Jeremy wouldn't listen. His behavior got even weirder, like he was taken over by something bad. His eyes looked really scary, and he was saying things that didn't make sense. I grabbed my phone and called the police when my brother and some friends tried to stop Jeremy from acting so strange. The police came quickly and took Jeremy away, mostly to keep him safe and to make sure everyone else was okay. It was really strange and scary to end a night that was supposed to be fun. As we sat in the quiet house after everything happened, it felt like we were in a haunted place. The Halloween decorations weren't fun anymore. They just seemed spooky. We all felt worried because something real strange had happened. Later, we found a diary in Jeremy's room with drawings, notes, and talked about scary stuff. It made us realize he was obsessed with a scary group that almost made him go crazy. So our Halloween party turned into a night we'd never forget, showing us that sometimes the scariest stories don't come from ghost tales, but from real life. Even on a night when we expect fun and spooks, we learned a hard lesson about understanding the line between Halloween fun and someone's. It left us all shaken, knowing that real life horrors can be scarier than any ghost. Hey Reddit, I've got a Halloween story that I've never shared with anyone before. It's a tale of an endless night, a never ending Halloween that I cannot forget. I needed to get it off my chest, so here goes. It was a few years back, a Halloween night like any other, or so I thought. I had been invited to a massive party thrown by a friend, and it promised to be a night to remember. I put my costume, a classic vampire getup, and made my way to the party, eager to have some fun. The moment I stepped into that place, I knew it was going to be a night to remember. The music was pumping, the decorations were perfect, and everything was in a high spirit. As the night wore on, the atmosphere grew electrifying. We danced, we laughed, and we reveled in the magic of Halloween. I felt alive more than ever. The hours seemed to be fly by, and before I knew it, the clock struck midnight. I was standing with a group of friends sipping on my drink when I noticed something odd. The clock above the bar seemed to be frozen at midnight. I pointed it out to my friends, but they shrugged it off, blaming it on a glitch. I continued to dance, to laugh, to enjoy the party, but time felt strange. The night didn't process. It remained midnight, and the party continued in a loop, as if trapped in some bizarre time wrap. I tried to leave, but the moment I stepped outside, I found myself right back in the party, with the same people, same music, and the same decoration. It was like never ending Halloween, a groundhog day of a ghouls and revelry. The strangest part was that nobody else seemed to notice. They danced, they laughed, they repeated the same conversation, unaware that they were stuck in this loop. It was like they were living out their own Halloween nightmare on a loop while I was the only one who could see it. Day turned into night and night into day, and I was trapped in this perpetual Halloween night. The atmosphere that had once been electrifying now felt suffocating. The laughter and music became an eerie and unsettling soundtrack. I tried to speak to my friends to break the loop, but they couldn't hear me, couldn't see me. I was like a ghost, a witness to a never-ending Halloween night. Each day in the loop, something bizarre and terrifying happened. Friends vanished, strange occurrences unfolded, and that atmosphere grew almost more and more weird. It was like the Halloween night itself was turning against us. I realized that on the fifth day, something truly horrific awaited. It was a nightmarish climax, and I had been a way to escape the loop before that day arrived. I began to experiment, to test the boundaries of this eerie world. I started noticing patterns, clues that might lead to an escape. Symbols, hidden messages, and cryptic signs that hinted at a way out. With each passing day, I collected more of these clues, piecing together the puzzle that was my prison. I reached out to the others in the loop. With each passing day, I collected more of these clues, piecing together the puzzle that was my prison. I reached out to others in the loop, the few who seemed aware of the strangeness, and together we devised a plan. The loop on the fifth day grew more dangerous, more unpredictable, but we were determined. Armed with our knowledge, we confronted the weird forces that bound us, and in the moment of sheer determination, we broke free. I woke up in the real world, away from the endless Halloween night, with the memory of that eerie loop still fresh in my mind. The party was over, and life had returned to normal, but I couldn't forget those 5 days in the never-ending Halloween night, where time itself seemed to bend and twist. It was just a journey through a surreal and an unsettling world, and to this day I can't be sure whether it was a dream or a nightmarish reality. So Reddit, that's my Halloween story. A tale of an eternal night, a never-ending Halloween where time itself played trick or treats on me, and the party became a never-ending nightmare. A few years back on Halloween night, I found myself in a situation that I'd never forget. It all started when my friends convinced me to go to this local haunted house. Now, I'm not the bravest person when it comes to spooky stuff, but I agreed to join them for fun. The haunted house was set up in an old, creaky building at the edge of town. It had a reputation for being genuinely scary, and that's what my friends were looking for. As we approached the place, I could feel my heart racing, and I hadn't even stepped inside yet. The entrance was dimly lit, and a creepy figure in a tattered costume directed us towards the ticket booth. The lady at the booth had a mischievous grin and handed us our tickets with a warning, "This isn't for the faint of heart." We entered the haunted house, and from the get-go, it was a mix of darkness, eerie music, and jump scares. I tried to be brave and not scream, but every corner seemed to hide a new fright. Goats, zombies, and things that went bump in the night leaped out at us, making us all scream in surprise. As we made our way through the maze of spooky rooms, I couldn't help but notice the attention to details. The set designers had put a lot of effort into making it feel real, and it worked. It felt like we were in an old, abandoned house and the fear was genuine. But then, as we reached the final room, something truly unexpected happened. The room was filled with mannequins dressed in old-fashioned clothing. At first, we thought it was just another scare tactic, but as we looked closer, we realized that these mannequins weren't like the others. The eyes seemed to follow us, and the expressions were eerie. I tried to brush it off as a clever trick, but my unease grew. The air in that room felt heavy, like something was off. My friends dared me to touch one of the mannequins, and I, trying to be brave, extended my hand and tapped the shoulder of one of them. It felt like ice cold, and for a moment I thought I heard a soft whisper. I pulled my hand back, feeling like a chill running down my spine. I told my friends that I had enough and wanted to leave, but they laughed it off and said I was being paranoid. As we made our way to the exit, something bizarre happened. The door that had led us into the mannequin-filled room was gone. It was like it had vanished. And we all saw was a wall of mannequins. Panic set in. We tried to push through the mannequins, but they didn't budge. It was as if they were keeping us trapped in that room. My friends, who had been so brave before, now had fear in their eyes. We searched for another exit, but there was none. The room seemed to close in on us, the mannequins crowding us. I could have sworn I heard whispers as if the mannequins were alive. In a desperation, we screamed for help, but our voices seemed to be swallowed by the eerie silence of the room. It was a nightmare, and I could have believed that a haunted house experience had turned into something so terrifyingly real. Hours passed, or at least it felt like hours, and we were still trapped. The mannequins didn't move, but their presence was suffocating. Just when we thought we were doomed to spend an eternity in that room, the light flickered, and the door reappeared. We rushed through it, back into the dimly lit hallway, and finally outside into the cool Halloween night. We never looked back. We didn't even stop to ask the people at the ticket booth what had happened. We just wanted to put as much distance between us and that haunted house as possible. To this day, I can't explain what we experienced in there. It felt so real, so terrifying, that it still gives me the creep. I'm not much of a writer, but I needed to share the story, and I hope you'll understand that sometimes reality can be scarier than any other Halloween house.